Eden Hazard's story begins not under the bright lights of Madrid, but in the heart of London, where he carved his name into Premier League history. When Hazard arrived at Chelsea in 2012, few could have predicted the impact he would have on English football. He wasn't just another flashy winger, he was a magician with the ball, a player who made fans rise to their feet every time he touched it. For 7 unforgettable seasons, Hazard was the beating heart of Chelsea's attack. He delivered not just numbers, but moments that defined matches, seasons, and even rivalries. Whether it was his breathtaking solo run against Arsenal, his dazzling dribble past half the West Ham defense, or his 2-goal masterclass in the Europa League final against Arsenal, Hazard became a living highlight reel. But Hazard's magic was never just about goals or assists. It was about how he made people feel. Stamford Bridge wasn't just a stadium when he played, it was a theater, and he was the star. Fans adored him because he carried a rare gift, the ability to turn hope into belief, belief into victory, and victory into silverware. 2 Premier League titles, 2 Europa Leagues, an FA Cup, and a League Cup proved his impact. But beyond the trophies, Hazard left with something greater: respect from rivals, love from neutrals, and worship from Chelsea faithful. By 2019, he wasn't just a great player, he was a Premier League immortal. And yet, even in those glorious moments, Hazard's heart longed for something else. For years, whispers surrounded his future. He dreamed of wearing the white shirt of Real Madrid, to step into Cristiano Ronaldo's shoes, to test himself on the grandest stage of them all. Chelsea fans feared it, but deep down, they knew it was inevitable. Hazard was destined for Madrid, and when the day finally came, it felt like the beginning of a fairy tale. No one could have predicted how quickly it would unravel. In the summer of 2019, Hazard's dream became reality. Real Madrid paid over €100 million for their new Galactico, unveiling him at the Santiago Bernabeu before a roaring crowd. The white shirt, the flashing cameras, the chants of "Hazard, Hazard." It all promised greatness. Hazard wasn't just another signing. He was supposed to be the man to replace Ronaldo. The pressure was immense, but so were the expectations. Madrid had invested not only money, but belief in Hazard to carry their next era. At first, it seemed perfect. A player in his prime, adored worldwide, finally at the biggest club in football. Yet warning signs appeared almost instantly. Spanish media questioned his fitness, pointing to whispers that he had arrived overweight. Fans brushed it aside. After all, this was Eden Hazard, the man who terrorized Premier League defenses for years. Surely he would shine in Spain too. But Madrid is not Chelsea. At Stamford Bridge, Hazard was adored and protected. At the Bernabeu, love came with conditions: perform or perish. That is the law in Madrid. And within weeks of his arrival, cracks began to appear. Barely into his first season, disaster struck. Hazard suffered an injury that seemed minor but spiraled into a recurring nightmare. A twisted ankle, a muscle tear, a surgery, one by one, setbacks piled up. Each return ended in another absence. In the end, Hazard missed more games than he played. The unstoppable dribbler who once danced past defenders now looked fragile, unable to stay fit long enough to matter. And in Madrid, patience was already running thin. And then came another problem: his weight. Photos surfaced of Hazard returning from summer looking heavier than expected. Spanish media tore into him. Headlines mocked his discipline. Pundits questioned his professionalism, and memes flooded the internet. For a player who had been adored in England for his charm and carefree style, Spain felt unforgiving. At Chelsea, he was loved even on his off days. At Madrid, every flaw was magnified. The pressure became suffocating. Fans demanded Ronaldo-level performances, but Hazard's body refused to cooperate. Every poor game sparked outrage. Every injury became front-page news. What had started as a dream was quickly transforming into humiliation. Hazard later admitted that the criticism hurt him deeply. He wanted to succeed, but nothing seemed to go his way. Injuries, fitness, pressure. Each blow chipped away at the confidence of a player once considered among the very best in the world. And as the seasons passed, the gap between the Chelsea hero and the Madrid disappointment grew wider and wider. As Hazard battled his fitness demons, something cruel unfolded around him. Real Madrid kept winning. Even without their expensive Galactico firing on all cylinders, the club thrived. They lifted La Liga, they conquered Europe once again, and they celebrated in the very moments Hazard had dreamed of experiencing firsthand. But instead of being the centerpiece of these triumphs, Hazard was reduced to a spectator. Images of him clapping from the bench or standing on the sidelines became a sad reminder of what could have been, while teammates like Benzema, Modric, and Vinicius Jr. carried Madrid's torch. Hazard faded quietly into the background. For a player who once thrived on being the heartbeat of Chelsea, this was torture. At Stamford Bridge, he had been the difference maker, the hero fans relied on. In Madrid, he became almost invisible. His name, once feared by defenders, was now missing from the team sheet more often than not. What made it worse was the contrast. When Madrid lifted the Champions League, Hazard's dream trophy, he had barely contributed. He posed for the photos, he smiled with the squad, but deep down he knew the truth. He hadn't been part of the journey. For fans, he was a passenger. For Hazard, it was heartbreak. And as every new season began, hope would return. Maybe this would be the year Hazard bounced back. Maybe this would be the redemption arc. But as injuries and doubts continued, even the most loyal supporters stopped believing. The fairy tale redemption story never came. Instead, Hazard found himself trapped in a cycle of disappointment, watching from the sidelines as others lived the dream he had worked his whole life for. By the summer of 2023, the writing was on the wall. Hazard's contract with Real Madrid was cut short, ending 4 disappointing seasons in Spain. For a player once considered one of the finest talents of his generation, the statistics were almost unbelievable. Over 100 million euros spent, yet just 7 goals scored in Madrid colors. Soon after leaving, Hazard shocked the football world by announcing his retirement at only 32 years old. No farewell tour, no second chapter in America or Saudi Arabia, just a quiet exit. It was a reminder of how brutal football can be. A player who had danced through Premier League defenses and lit up European nights was gone far too soon. For Chelsea fans, his legacy remains untouchable. They remember the joy, the flair, the unforgettable goals. Hazard is still their hero, the man who carried them to titles and gave them countless memories. But in Spain, the story is different. At Madrid, he became a cautionary tale, a reminder that not every Galactico dream has a happy ending. And for Hazard himself, the sadness lingers. He admitted in interviews that he didn't give Madrid the version of himself he had hoped for. The body that once allowed him to weave past defenders betrayed him. The dream he had chased became the very thing that broke him. Eden Hazard's career is a story of 2 worlds, brilliance in England and heartbreak in Spain. From Chelsea legend to Madrid mystery, his journey shows that even the brightest stars can fade, not because of talent, but because sometimes fate has other plans. So, why did it truly suck to be Eden Hazard? Because football can be as cruel as it is beautiful. At Chelsea, Hazard was adored, untouchable, a magician who made the impossible look easy. He left England at the very peak of his powers, chasing a dream he had held since boyhood, but instead of glory, he found frustration. Injuries stripped him of his rhythm. Weight issues fueled criticism. And the unforgiving spotlight of Real Madrid magnified every mistake. What hurts the most is the contrast. Hazard didn't just fall short, he went from being one of the best in the world to a player struggling to even make the team sheet. Imagine reaching the place you've always wanted, only to watch your body betray you. Imagine sitting on the bench, clapping as others lift the trophies you've spent your life chasing. That was Eden Hazard's reality. And yet, his story is more than a tragedy. It's a reminder of how fragile greatness is. Even the most talented players can see their careers derailed by circumstance. Hazard's magic was real, his brilliance undeniable. At Chelsea, he wrote his legend. At Madrid, he lived the nightmare. Both sides of the story define who he is. For fans, Hazard's career remains unforgettable, not because it ended in disappointment, but because at his best, he gave us moments of pure footballing joy. And that is something no injury or failed transfer can ever erase. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into football's biggest legends and forgotten tales, and share your thoughts below. Was Hazard unlucky, or did he waste his chance?